Oh, can you turn the light on actually? Keep on there.
What is it? What's the code?
Just give me like 16 minutes.
16 minutes. It's too far. Alright, let's get this. Alright, I checked everything in here. Let's see. Have I been this way? Is this where I came in? Yes. Oh. I haven't gone down here.
Oh yeah, the code is...
Oh, have you got it? Have you got it?
Code is 0128. 0128.
What room is it in again? The next one?
Yeah, you just gotta do some really nice, fun things. You gotta do some really... You gotta do some really normal, fun things. Like nice, innocent things, that's what you gotta do. And it's just 0128. But 0128. Yeah. 28 though.
Okay. 08? No,
01. And can you remember the rest?
28.
Okay, let's see what happens.
Oh! Shit, that can't be good. Oh gosh.
Did that sound right? Did that sound... How did that sound? Did that sound good?
No.
Well, we got it.
Oh, thank God he's already dead. I gotta get out of this lab.
I can hear them, but I can't see them. They're down here.
Yeah, it looks like the place to go. This is the place to be.
Go downstairs.
It's one of the big ones.
Am I going through this way? Alright. Pass me this security gate and search for half an hour.
Alright, let's continue. Then she pulled her panties over, took the guy's false teeth, put them in her pussy.
Do I have to go up one more?
She told them back out. She took them back out and put them back in the guy's mouth. Any thought in my head, good or bad, went completely away, and I knew I needed to get the fuck out of there. The rest of that day and the next Christmas Day, I couldn't wipe the image out of my head, which I guess is a lot better than having to miss my mom. I woke up the day after Christmas thinking, what was all the fuss about? I made it through fucking Christmas. Now I'm all clear. My friends and I are going to go deep from now on until New Year's. And I'm not worried about my mother anymore. Everything is going to be fine. But then December 30th came and all the negative feelings crept back in. There was a party that night at a girl's house on the other side of town, and there were maybe 25 people there, nothing crazy. People were just saving up for New Year's Eve and the next night. By this point, I'd started using drugs as any form of therapy instead of just for fun, causing me to have what I thought was the worst trip of my life, watching The Blob with Steve McQueen. Thinking it could get no worse than that, I took 2 hits of mescaline. My friends and I were giggling and shit, and then out of nowhere, I had this horrible feeling come over me. It was anguish, the pain at its finest. And almost instantly, Mother started playing. It was the first time I ever had a panic attack, and it was terrible. I put my beer down and immediately went outside to get some air, but the tears started coming down and they wouldn't fucking stop. The pain was so intense, I puked again. The alcohol was disappearing from my system, but the drugs were still very much there, and my mind was playing games. Thinking back on that moment now, it still makes me very, very sad. I started walking away from the party. I was crying more and more with every step, but without much logic, I headed to the cemetery. I jumped the fence to my mother's grave, and quickly as I could, I knelt down to the tombstone and started digging with my bare hands. I dug and cried. I couldn't believe she was gone. I wanted to know how this could have possibly happened to her. I wanted to know how this could have happened to me. I knew I'd seen her dead on the floor in the kitchen. I knew I saw her body lying in the casket. I'd watched them bury her right there in the ground, but in that moment, I couldn't just believe any of it was real. It never happened. It must have been a joke. I loved God. He would have never done this to me. This is just a bad dream. I'm going to prove it. Her body was not in there. I kept saying out loud to myself, digging until my hands were stained brown and with tears were frozen to my face. I laid on the ground next to the mess I had made and cried more. I must have laid there in the freezing cold for 30 minutes before I finally got myself together to start moving again. I jumped the fence the other way and walked back to my house. I sat down on the steps where I'd been that night and took a deep breath, and then I went up to the door and started ringing the doorbell. I had the key in my pocket, but I didn't want to open it myself. I rang the doorbell again and again. I wanted my mum to come to the door and open it and yell, "What the fuck are you doing?" I wanted to hang it out with her and hear about her day while she shoved a Coke rock up her nose and let it melt in there. I wanted to tell her I was there for her, that I was hearing her now. I knew how much financial trouble she was in, how sad she was. I wanted her to know I'd help her. I'd take extra jobs, whatever it took. I'd do anything to make her happy again, as long as we were together. I wanted my life back. This certainly didn't feel like my life. I wanted her back. Eventually, around 5 a.m., I went back to the Bender's house and went to sleep for a while. When I woke up, I went to the cemetery so I could see in the daylight the damage I'd done to the gravesite. I fixed it as much as I could. I just want you to grow up to be a man. I could hear my mum's voice saying on repeat as I filled the hole back up with dirt. I just want you to grow up to be a man. Part 2, Criminal Life. Chapter 10, The Devil's Student. My entire childhood was lived in full colour, and they were vibrant colours at that. Even when some bullshit popped up, all in all, I was a fairly good kid, having an excellent go at life. Out of nowhere, my late teens found me living in a black and white movie. It was a horror flick that never seemed to end. Everything constantly felt dark. I'd officially cracked from my mother's death, and there was no putting me back together. I was depressed, and the only way I thought I could combat it was by self-medicating with booze and drugs, lashing out at the world by committing an endless string of crimes. As I mentioned, my buddies and I never saw what we were up to, stealing stuff here and there, as criminal activity, but we saw it as old-fashioned fun hustling. After my mom died, that all changed for me. I turned 17 on February after my mom died, and that's about the time I started running with a dude called The devil, yeah, the devil. He was he was 2 or 3 years older than me, and then a dark fucking guy. People warned me about him, and I stopped caring about my life at that point, and consequences for that matter. So from the way I saw it, there was no risk in hanging with him. I liked the devil a lot. He and I quickly got to stealing scrap metal and selling it for profit. He'd end up shorting me every time. If my cut should have been $100, he gave me 75 because he was the ultimate scam artist. I didn't mind. I mean, the devil taught me how to get by on nothing. He opened my eyes to options I would have never seen before. I soon wanted to up my own ante. With the devil's guidance, I realized opportunities were constantly right under my nose. I took a job at a lumberyard every day after school from 2 to 5 p.m. And my part of the job was to bring the outgoing mail to the post office every afternoon. One day I got there and the post office was closed, so I started putting the mail into one of the mailboxes outside. The envelope fell on the ground, and when I went to pick it up, I felt something sliding inside it. I needed to know what was in it, so I put the letter in my pocket, mailed the rest of the shit, and got out of there. When I got back to the Benders that night, I opened up the envelope, and inside were 2 gas cards, 2 checks for $28,000, or one for $28,000 and another for $20,000. Right away, I sold the gas cards, and then I went to a friend of mine to see about cashing these checks. He told me he could call his brother, a guy in the mafia. I met the guy at a local pizza spot and showed him how to cash the checks. What do you think? I asked, showing off the smuggled slips of paper. He examined them closely, front to back. If my plan for this works, I'm going to keep the 20,000 and I'll give you the 20. I'm going to keep the 28,000 and I'll give you the 20. He told me. I agreed. A couple of days later, we met at the same pizza place. He gave me an envelope with 20,000 cash in it. I was fucking set. I never went back to the lumberyard. I used the money to start my own business selling drugs in bigger and better amounts than ever before. I'd go out to my guy in East Stroudsburg, stock up to the brim, and come back ready to sell a ton of mescaline, acid, and black beauties. My profit margins were fucking huge. Let's say I'd buy 1,000 black beauties for $40. I'd go home and sell them for $1 a piece. I was making money hand over fist. While selling drugs in large quantities, I was also doing them in even larger quantities. Cocaine was really blowing up at this point, and everyone was doing it, and I used it to numb every fucking feeling of loss I didn't want to deal with. Beauty was, it worked. It wasn't long before my cocaine use was completely out of control. I went from doing it here and there to doing it every fucking day. It was common to find me missing classes, high as fuck instead. Nothing seemed important to me, except having coke up my nose and someone else's cash in my pocket. As the months passed, I became one of the biggest scumbags in the neighborhood. I'd gone from a kid fucking around with his buddies to a man to be avoided. Despite it, the Benders continued to be amazing to me. My reputation was going to shit, but they stuck by me. I was happy for it since I really felt like I had no one. So many of the people who'd shown up during my mum's services, who promised they'd be there for me and for whatever I needed, whenever I needed it, now they just disappeared. They weren't answering the phone. Even my relationship with Juan was becoming non-existent. He'd been pissing me off since the day of my mother's death, talking shit about her to me constantly, telling me things I didn't need to know about her. Debts, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, making her seem like a villain in her death. And I didn't fucking appreciate it. Then my friends and I had a party at my old house, and it was getting wild. Like, one kid was puking in the toilet, and I lifted his head up, took a shit in the toilet, and then put his head back in. One showed up out of nowhere and ringed us the fuck out. He ended up changing the locks of the house and banning me from it. In retrospect, I can see where he was coming from, getting there getting there to find all these kids fucked up on drugs and trashing their house. But back then, I wholeheartedly resented him for it. He was supposed to be on my team. It made me even more thankful for the Benders and really how much had they put up with.
You've got to resist him!
Hoffman, stand back!
No! He doesn't know what he's doing! Oh. Liam! Don't!
What do you mean, Liam?
Stay back!
Stay out of my way, Sebastian.
O'Neill, what happened?
Theodore showed me the way. I am his now. I helped him hide. And in exchange, he gave me a new life.
A life as a slave.
You'll never understand. For that, you'll burn!
And one eye.
Getting too hot in here. Gotta put the flames out.
You must be cleansed! You won't get out of here. He commands that I take care of you. You can either die or change like me. I'm sorry, Winston. I won't let him get away. I promise.
Where is he?
You escape me. I'm not weak force. I won't come down easy. Not again.
Fuck.
He won't bother us anymore.
Bruh. Fuck this Liam cunt. Not you. This O'Neill cunt.
Insult circle.
You've got to resist him!
Hoffman!
Full circle.
No!
So-
He doesn't know what he's doing! Oh. Liam! Don't!
What do you mean, Liam?
Stay back!
Stay out of my way, Sebastian.
O'Neill, what happened?
Theodore showed me the way. I am his now. I helped him hide. And in exchange, he gave me a new life.
A life as a slave.
You'll never understand. For that, you'll burn!
Getting too hot in here.
Let the flames
Gotta put the
consume
flames
you.
out.
Now I'm a soldier. A soldier in his army.
Fuck.
Yeah, use a medical kit.
I told him.
I'll press square.
Get out of here. He commands that I take care of you.
Son.
You can either
Any of
die
them.
or change like me. Damn you, Sebastian. That's it. I'm done playing with you.
I'm done playing with you, mate. Alright? Don't fucking come on. The fuck did you do, Neil?
Thank you, Sebastian. Finally free from his voice. From my fears. I was so scared. You've got to stop him.
I can't stop him if I can't find him, O'Neill.
He phase shifted. He's not here. Not anywhere. The machine in the room next door. You gotta destroy it.
What machine?
He made me build it. To hide him. Destroy it.
Okay, well that's not really, that's,
So that you can destroy him.
that's not that deep, dude. It was a bad deal. It was a shitty deal there.
What happened? How did O'Neill get turned into that thing?
I don't know. I've been locked in my safe house since you left. When Liam called and asked me to meet him, I was so relieved to hear his voice. But he wasn't Liam. It was that thing. I tried to get through to him, but you heard. Theodore Wallace did something to him.
Poor guy.
You didn't have a choice. So what now?
Let's take a look at this machine, O'Neill.
I think it's on the other side of the room.
Flamethrower. I could use this, but it's broken. If I found the right parts. Lots of weird stuff in here. Looks like he was building something.
Maybe that machine he was talking about.
Yes, Master. Of course. The machine is operating as it should. Thank you, Father Theodore. To hear you say that, it fills me with pride.
Never trust the Pope,
But she
right?
is
That's what
harmless.
it's telling us.
Yeah, never trust the Pope.
I would never disobey. Of course I will. Whatever pleases you. Yukiko, can you hear me? I'm in the fabrication room. Clearances don't mean much when everyone's dead. Just please come and meet me here. I have something to show you. It's important. I'm sorry, Yukiko, but he demands it.
Mark of influence. Theodore's sticking his fingers in every part of this place.
It's almost like a form of communication with him.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of swastikas to me. A bear's Catholic, does the Pope shit in the woods? Medical kit, maybe, yeah.